Money always figures it out. Whatever.
Just want to get it started.
For Aaron. Good.
All right, if everybody will stand, please, for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody got a copy of the minutes. There was one minor change on the second page that the next meeting will be March, it's not February. But I think everything else is okay. Did anybody have any questions about the minutes from the February meeting?
Is that the one that had the ending time?
What? Yeah, that's what he's just talking about.
Oh,
He just corrected it with his pen.
the date or the time?
The date.
The date, because he said the next regular meeting of the
Look at
board
the-
will be held on February 10th.
Check the ending time.
I don't think there's time.
Not?
I don't put it on that meeting because we
Oh.
never know. what-
Oh, the meeting was adjourned at 7:27.
And that's accurate. Although that might have been the Union Township.
I was about to say, because,
We had.
so we got two meetings
We
done at
started-
27
we
minutes is
had-
what you're saying.
We started at eight, what's the beginning time?
Okay, I'm gonna scratch, thank you.
I'm gonna start sending this stuff to you.
Well, if I had it with a day or
Wait a
something,
minute, don't
Oh,
do that.
instead of getting them Tuesday morning. Jack, do you remember approximately what time the
I
meeting?
think it was 8:27 instead of 7:20.
Okay, we will acknowledge 8:27 as the adjournment time.
It's a time check.
Oh, that's right, that's a time change there.
Yeah, that's true. Does anybody have any other questions about the minutes or corrections, I should say?
No comments, just questions.
If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept.
Second?
We got beat.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Did send out January and February's bank statements. I'm gonna first start with January. And the reason why was we had to wait till after the February meeting so that we could get approved for the annual report so that we could then roll over 2025. And it wasn't until then that I could proceed with balancing January and then February. So I did send out, and like I say, I'm first talking about January of this year, 2026, the bank reconciliation information and bank statements. Did everybody get that?
Yes.
Did everybody does anybody have any questions? If not, I want to see if we can get an approval for the January meeting, bank statement first, excuse me.
I make a motion, we accepted the January bank statement.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Then we're going to move to the February bank statement. We're going to cover that. It's basically the same thing. Does anybody have any questions about the February bank statement? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I have a fire docket of $353,046.89. Did everybody receive that?
Yes.
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions?
Motion to accept the docket?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I have an additional add-on this month. I think I sent everybody a second agenda. I hope I did. If I did not, we are looking to change a fire person's designation, I guess,
Title.
title. She's wanting to move from lieutenant to a wellness coordinator. I'm gonna let Josh talk about it a little bit. It will be slightly less money for her if everybody's okay with that, but it will be not much.
Lieutenant to what?
To a wellness coordinator.
So basically, a few months ago, our training lieutenant, Ann Stark, she had came to me and wanted to step down from her training lieutenant position. So it was in the budget that she was getting paid $4,800 a year for a training lieutenant. In the evolution of the department and the way things are working with the way, we just grow and evolve, that position's really no longer needed for us with having a full-time division chief that manages the training, plus the training captain, and with having Billy helping with admin stuff on the new hire, that just really wasn't needed anymore. So there was kind of a need that I had actually, without going too much into it, I kind of had some discussions with Chief Rose and came up with this position that was a need that we've never really addressed. And with all the mental health stuff going on and the focus on trying to, prevent firefighter suicide and just mental health overall, plus our wellness as far as physical fitness, physicals, return to work and all of that. It's really a position, a lot of that's been falling to me. I've been doing a lot of the management of that with everything else. So what I talked to Trustee Dunham about was creating a position that's called the wellness coordinator position that would be in charge of basically everything that falls into the realm of employee wellness. So overseeing our mental health operations, overseeing our annual physicals, overseeing our return to work programs if somebody gets injured, going through all of their, all of those pieces and getting everything together to make sure that they're getting their appointments and follow up on injuries and things like that. And then also kind of taking care of our, working with our outreach team to plan our banquets and things that kind of help the employees and get with them. And then, so as I started thinking about that, one thing that we did do a couple of years ago is we created a peer support program, which was a few of our people, Captain Gillespie and actually went down to Noblesville and Carmel area. And they attended a training to become certified peer support people. So those people focus on the wellness side of employees from the mental health standpoint when there's major incidents, doing debriefing and just overall peer support. So being there for them when they need it. Once Captain Gillespie stepped into the captain's role instead of the full-time position, that kind of has went by the wayside a little bit. So by creating this position, it's one of the big focuses that I want them to be, this is going to be a big primary push for them. So got a little thing you can read through if you want. I'm just giving you a little bit of information about it. Basically, what we're requesting is just the creation of this wellness coordinator position. The budget money of $3,600 a year is just kind of to make it, hey, let's give something, because there's going to be a lot of work. I can attest to that because I'm doing a ton of it right now, trying to manage the physicals and all that. But something for the time, because it won't be getting an hourly wage when we're doing those things. It's just a stipend for manage those things. So taking $3,600 to that lieutenant position that we freed up and putting it to a wellness coordinator for, and then it would be posted for Ann Stark to take that position because she's got the credentials. And if you don't know, that is actually Ann's background. She has a master's degree in psychology. So that is actually her background. She's a part-time paramedic for us, but she has a master's degree in psychology. So that is really right down her wheelhouse. And when I had kind of briefly threw out some ideas to her and she was ecstatic for it. Just something that we really want to put a focus on with all the mental health stuff going on right now. So,
If I can.
yes, I'm done talking.
The one thing that jumped out at me tremendously, if everybody remembers that airplane that went down. I mean, after everybody went to cover that, they went to a pretty good extent to try and get everybody to talk to people and figure out, and this is exactly what that doesn't happen all the time. And hopefully we'll never, ever see it again. But any kind of catastrophe or any kind of anything, whether it be a large scale, whether it be a school, whether it be even a bad accident with a child. Nobody ever wants that. But these guys have to go on that, and they have to cover that, and they have to be professional, and they gotta do what they need to do. But it still doesn't make it any easier. So this is, something that I think would benefit the department tremendously.
With an agency our size, there's always something going on, or there's problems at home, or, you know, and Doug does understand this as well too, but, and, you know, our agency even grows in the future, there's always going to be some kind of need for peer support, wellness program, mental health issues. Like I said, the plane crash was one example, but there's, you know, tonight our guys could go on a, you know, 10-day old, you know, not breathing, and folks, especially folks with small children, could have, you know, want to have to talk to somebody about that. So it's helping our employees with something that, you know, some departments just don't have the ability or the means to address those issues.
Well,
May I ask one question?
yeah,
Why would you want to cut her pay? And I'm just being honest about it, I mean, because it sounds like she's kind of doing this already. Now, it's gonna be an official position created for her. And I agree, it sounds like you've laid it out very well. By the brief reading I've had, I'm impressed with this alone. But what this person has to do, I'm not, and they're excited about it, and they have a master's degree. I know how hard it was to get my master's degree, I know she knows how hard it is. I'm just wondering why you want to cut the pay to $1,200.
A lot of it just came to, the request came because of basically, we had the lieutenant position, and this is a ranked position, so just in the separation of our pay scales, all of our part-time people receive, you know, now she works part-time for us, so she gets paid to be on the ambulance, and the assumption that some of that work will be done while she's on shift, but you know, with our officer stipend, just kind of looking at the way they step down as they go down, so it's not a lieutenant position like what our full-time people that are managing shifts, or even our part-time people. So it's just kind of the next logical point in that, but I so heartily agree. I mean, it's a very much important position. It's just kind of where our steps fall in the grand scheme of our stipend pays.
I would concur the absolute need at juncture, qualifications and that you laid out there. I also would concur, that's my question. And certainly, I understand the stipend differential, and so perhaps, you know, dropping it a couple $100 rather than $1,200, like, you know, so that you have your line officers that are a certain rate, and this is a unique position, not quite to, you know, that type of an officer, but I think it's would be a very good investment. It's not only for the well-being of the entire department, but administratively taking the load off of a couple different people of managing these type of like you said, even managing the physicals, making sure return to work stuff is all taken care of. So, you know, I think it's a great idea. I'm all for it. And I'm all for raising that stipend to be just a little bit below what an officer would make.
I'd be in favor of maybe splitting the difference between the 3,600 and the 4,800, make it $4,200,
Yeah.
600.
I-
And
that's what we're here for. We can.
Yeah.
Same, we would just
We
need to
decide.
update like the salary ordinance, just do an amended one.
That's fine.
Because you'd have to do that anyways, wouldn't you?
I will tell you, I don't know, I don't think anybody else was here for our Christmas dinner. But Jamie asked me if I wanted to get up and talk at our Christmas party, and I did, because I wanted to thank Jamie and Josh for all the help when I was after my surgery and everything, and during my surgery and everything. But I also, I don't know if you guys knew, I actually thanked David. And the reason why I did was, I think it was after a meeting. I was leaving and he came out to talk to me. And he talked to me for 10 minutes at least outside. And I didn't think a whole lot about it, but it just didn't sit in with me. And everything he asked me is, how am I doing? How am I feeling? What am I thinking? And he finally explained to me that sometimes people have large surgeries or large events like this, they can actually get depressed. And that didn't hit me, and I really appreciated him doing it. And I mean, it's just sometimes what people do. So I appreciated it. And this is part of the reason why I wanted this to hopefully happen tonight. So,
Well,
I think we're all on board with the position and raising it
I,
from
I,
what you're at.
and I'll go just a touch further then, because I would make an informed motion that we go through, make this change as you're requesting and set the pay rate at 4,500. That's splitting the difference again. So, I mean, that's a $900 increase over what it was going to be. It's $300 less than what an officer at that rank would be. So I think that kind of balances out a little bit, because I just think it's really an important position.
so you're saying 45.
Specialized.
4,500.
Do we hear 46? 46. Okay. Is everybody okay with 45?
Well, that's what the motion is.
I'll second it.
All those in favor of setting at 45?
I,
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. And just kind of as a catch on to that too, just so you know, one of the things I've actually got Ann coming, we have Thursday, our most recent group that you guys, well, one of them, because we haven't got the other one through yet, but the new hires, the part-time new hires, and one of the things that we changed up our orientation process, so we're doing more of a formal, about 4 to 6 hours sitting in here with us and going through some things. And one of the sessions that we're covering in that day is, you know, Chief and I will leave the room, and I've asked Ann to come in and do a quick overview of our peer support program, the mental health resources, the resources that are available. That way, and it's a cliche, but kind of breaking down that stigma early on that, hey, this stuff's here, because a lot of people kind of just, and I'm guilty of it, I have been, you know, and my wife went through some stuff a couple of years ago where she was essentially, I mean, you guys, most of you know, she was told, you're dead, I mean, you're gonna be dead in a few months, and fortunately, she still suffers the same thing like Tim was just saying. It really hit me pretty hard, and I had the same conversation with her, because it's like, I've told her, if I was in your shoes, what would you be doing to me? And she said, I'd be calling Jamie and telling him to go get you help because you won't listen to me. So it is important, and I appreciate it. So I'll get that ball rolling. We just need to do that, Michelle, at the next meeting, just have.
Yeah. Yes, I did good.
Excellent. Thank you.
So what about that other
Is
thing?
the,
Well, I'll get with you later about that.
is this an A shift job or one shift?
No, so she's already on C shift. So, but this will kind of fall outside of that, just managing stuff as needed. And
Administrative.
yeah, just kind of administrative stuff. And the stipend just covers those. Hey, I'm taking a phone call from somebody and I need to help manage this, or hey, off shift, I'm trying to schedule get the interview, the stuff set up. So we're coming in tomorrow, you know, those kind of things. That's what the stipend kind of covers, is those just things that can't necessarily be taken care of on a normal shift. Yep. Appreciate it.
We had 152 incidents for February, so I put January on there. So.
I set a precedent.
Yeah. That's actually that's one of our slower months we've had in a long time. We were really slow at the beginning of February. Now, there's been a few changes from that. One, the fourth ambulance going in Anderson, South Madison taking over the Adams Township thing. But since then, and we are traditionally slow as well when it's super cold out. People just don't get out and go do things. There's obviously less wrecks and people out moving around. And we obviously had that big, super cold beginning of February. So there's multitude of factors since then. In the last couple of weeks, we have definitely picked up about double per day what we were back then as far as run months. Our two new ambulances are slated for the middle to end of April. We're hoping in the next day or so to actually pinpoint from the vendor an actual date, but they're telling us mid to end of April being built as we speak. The smaller yellow ambulance and the old red Tahoe that you surplused out a month or two ago is being listed this week with a company called The Garage. They're an online stuff, and they were just recently added to the state's approved vendor list. So Gives us some more options, so. The Fire Chiefs Association, which, you know, I'm president of, we applied for a state trauma grant and got over $21,000 given to us recently. The project kind of put through here based on some lessons learned from some training that we all went to. And the need is 6 large duffel bags full of trauma supplies, and they're going to be stationed around the county in different departments. The career departments, we will have one of those here on, it's actually already here on the rescue here, waiting on some more additional equipment. We are running that grant through here, and I appreciate Tim's willingness to do that. We have to pay the bills up front, and then we will be fully reimbursed. Just
What
like
did I agree to?
You agreed.
Is it federal money or is
State money.
is
It's called state trauma track money. We actually worked with Community Hospital. I worked with Christian Goodwin, who's the trauma director of community. She filled out the grant request on behalf of the County Chiefs Association. We got the award. She's had several, so she's familiar with the process. So we just have to, we're running it. I couldn't get the hospital to run it through their books, so we're running it through ours, and we get fully reimbursed. So there'll be no out of budget for us, but we will have one of those large totes of medical supplies on our rescue truck here. So they'll have 25 tourniquets, 25 chest seals, bandages, sled devices. It's intended for a mass casualty or an active shooter type situation. So there'll be one in Anderson, one in Ellick, one in Elwood, Pendleton, and Pell. So we're gonna have, and it's along with the other project I talked to you about last month, we're gonna have one of the best mass casualty type situations in our county versus anybody in the state pretty much. So pretty proud of getting that going. The rest of the big bags are sitting in my office, so I'll be glad when all that's done, so we can get all that stuff out of my office. Chief Hendrick was interviewed today by a company doing a promotional video, working with the Community Hospital Foundation as well. Remember a year or so ago, we got a large drone purchased from the foundation.
Is that the one that community?
Yeah, Community Hospital Foundation bought the drone. They do a video and focus on 5 different projects that they have funded over the past year at their annual banquet that's coming up. They asked one of the county police officers, and they asked us, obviously Josh being the drone guy, he went down and did a professional video, question and answer that's going to be part of their promotional show at their gala coming up. So you get all dressed up to be on TV. So. This week's training, we're doing standpipe operations at the Anderson Fire Department training grounds. Tomorrow's the last day of that. Been good training so far. We've been doing this in conjunction with Alexandria and Anderson. Our department is, being proximity and one of the other paid departments in here, we are part of nearly all of the working fire high-rise responses in Anderson. So working with the Anderson admin over the last couple of years, we've changed that response. So that includes all the high-rises downtown, the hospitals, anything 4 stories or above, and all the hotels. So they initially send Anderson trucks, but if that ends up being a true major incident, they will pull in our apparatus as well. So our guys are going through some additional training on how that works in standpipes and high-rise stuff. So
What's a standpipe?
it's in the stairwell. Typically, you would see if you walk the stairs of like a hotel or something, there'll be the big valving and stuff usually in the corner of a stairwell or something. So it's basically the firefighters can hook up their hoses on each floor of a
My
large
stepson installs that. So
yeah, sometimes you'll see them also in warehouses. They'll be stationed every so far, just because it's such a large span from the outside where the fire truck's at. So the guys will carry the hose in and then hook into the building system to get water to fight the
After the
fire.
meeting, I'll tell you funny stories.
Engine 52 got put all back together this past week after all the issues we've had, and we still have check engine light. So Jeff Moore and I took it down to a shop on the east side of Indy today, and massive shop down there, Ulmer Trucking or something on 30th and Midhofer. We got recommended by a couple other vendors. They actually literally had a whole fleet of Indianapolis Fire Department trucks in there that they're working on at the same time. So they do a ton of fire stuff. But we're trying to get this code issue cleared. So We just dropped it off at like 4 o'clock this afternoon, so they said they would get it in as soon as they could and take a look at it. The next day or so, we'll have that issue fixed. So. And then I just got a note in here, we'll talk about the emails.
Yeah, so just kind of an update from Lloyd's question at the last meeting, so it's the email for the townships. I found out through the group that I did, work with to get the website up and going. The state has a QPA, cooperative purchasing agreement, with a vendor that does email and actually laptops, and you get state bid pricing on it, so the whole everything. It's their supplier, so I've reached out to them, and I'm just waiting on them to get some information back to me to be able to get onto that. As a local government, they offer that to all the local government entities, no charge, that you can just tag on to the state's pricing for that stuff. So I'm just waiting on some details to come back from them on what we need to do, and then we can move that all forward, and what all services they can offer us. So I did get that, and I've got the contact for it. I'm just waiting on some pricing information, so I'll have some information to get that to you for moving forward here as soon as they can get back with me. But we should get pretty good pricing, because it's what the state uses for all their stuff, and they can do all the email service. We can actually, like printers, I wish I would have known a couple of years ago, and laptops and the whole 9 yards through the state pricing. So,
Depending on what the price is.
yeah,
That could be.
yeah, it comes time for buying another laptop or a printer or something in the future, and instead of getting like we have, it might be cheaper to hit them up for the state pricing.
So without question.
So, yeah, definitely for the emails is where I'm kind of going right now, is getting that set up. So I'll have some more for that as soon as they get back to me with the process of that.
The other thing we're gonna be adding is obviously concern is the email security thing, the security software for like, viruses and all that. I'm sure we're just stuff on that stuff. So. Lastly, we've got the 2025 annual report. These two fine folks got to hear it a little bit ago, so they get to hear it again. But Chief Hendrick put this together as usual. We've kind of changed the format of this, but he's actually going to display it on the thing, and we're going to go through the highlights instead of just saying here it is. We're going to actually take a few minutes and kind of.
I noticed we got our names in it. Good stuff.
Why? If your guys say that's fine.
So, yeah, like Chief said, I'll just kind of hit on a few of the highlights as we go through, and I'm not going to read all of them. You guys have a copy, you can read them later, but I'll hit on a few of the highlights. And starts out with just kind of the about us thing. And one thing I do want to point out, a couple things on that, is a little bit different. We, obviously we provide our services to our own area, but we are the primary mutual aid for advanced life support paramedic services for both Middletown, Fall Creek Township now and Lafayette Township. So kind of a lot of outside relying on us and a revenue source. We do quite a bit of runs in both of those two areas, supporting them for ALS type calls. And kind of pointing out this thing here, you can see on the run report, just a year-over-year comparison. When we started this thing in 2021, that was the year before the territory created, but that was our combined numbers as a combined entity. So both Richland Township and Union Township, how many runs they did in 21, the year before the territory. It's 2,165 calls, and in 25 we did 2,838. So a very large jump, and you can see that's consistently with such, one kind of jump on that call year. It's grown every single year. So really, I think, when we first went into this, and Chief Burrows and I think our estimate for that first 2022, we estimated about 1,400 to 1,500 runs, and we've been off. So that wasn't a very good estimate. But the next thing here, you kind of got Chief Burrows' letter just highlighting some of the stuff. I'll let you read through those, but some of the things that we've added this year, and just kind of some of the accomplishments we've done. And then, there's you guys' names, which you are there. So I was gonna add a picture, but I couldn't get pictures in time. So I'll have your pictures on that next year. Listening to the officers, our shift people that are assigned to specific shifts, our complete roster of the department, so their certification level, our mission, vision, and values, and then kind of going into our financial reporting is the next step up. So this is just a 2025 snapshot of the way the year ended. So looking at, account one, you guys get all these reports on a weekly basis. You get them, but just kind of calling them out in a little different way to see them. So account one, obviously our biggest of our buckets, pays all the personnel, all the health insurance, all that. And that was pretty well used up, 98.7% used. Account two is in a lot better standing, but It's also a smaller account, so it's kind of our operating supplies and things with parts, which is not looking too great this year, but account 3 services are our vendors and things that we pay services for, so you can kind of see that in comparison. Next page, we talk just specifically about the general fund and how it's kind of evolved year over year. So on the top bar graph, you can see the pink color is representing year-end cash balances. So, you know, when revenue comes in, expenses go out, what's left at the end of the year if that money was all sitting in the bank at that exact moment. Obviously, the first year, because we didn't really have the full-time staff, we didn't start any of that until July. There was a 6 months of operating kind of a lot leaner. So we put quite a bit back that first year, as you can see, but it's still substantially grown every year. All the way to 25, we had about $236,000 more in revenue than we had expenses at the end of the year. So we've been able to consistently grow that cash balance, working with Tim and making sure we can work through those things. And the benefit of that is with some of the changes that we all know coming down the road, and the unforeseen stuff that gives us a little bit of buffer. If you remember that first year, we had to go in May and borrow money just to make payroll because we didn't have that cash balance. So we're not quite as high as we want to be right now. I think we'd all love to see about 6 months expenses, but we're working on getting there through the efforts. We're making some progress. Next page is just the same thing, but for the fire equipment replacement fund. So what we use to do capital purchases, it brings in a lot less a year, but it's what we buy fixed stuff out of. So you can kind of see that same report and same build up of the balances and the revenues every year. Kind of the important part for, you know, really what all the crews do, right? So on the right-hand side, I'm highlighting, you can see the apparatus runs. So this is how many responses each unit took throughout the year. So when you look at Medic 51, 1,344 calls to Medic at this station. Last year's time was dispatched on 1,244, followed by Medic 52 at 755, which is the Medic up at the other station. And then engine 51 at 754, and engine 52 at 536. And then you can see kind of the rest of the pieces down there.
John, just to interrupt you just for a moment. Something I would suggest maybe next year, 1,344 responses. How many of those were Diane's?
So I don't put that in this report, because I have that number all together, but I don't put it in this report. I used to, but the way the report out, so our statistics are a little bit different as far as the runs this year, because 2 things happened. One, if you remember, in February of last year, we switched vendors that we use for our reporting software. So the first 2 months I was pulling from our old vendor. The rest of the year I was pulling from our new vendor. Also, we had to switch at the beginning of December to the nearest system, which is the new federal reporting guidelines instead of what we were using, which is called NIFRS. So I actually had 3 data sets that I had to pull from this year to get everything compiled. So it wasn't easy to break down into that granular stuff like that, but I do have those numbers. It's just not included.
I just didn't know if you think that would be.
Yeah, I did. So what I did last year is I actually had, and you'll see here in a minute, a mutual aid statistic.
Okay.
And I had mutual aid listed last year as a pretty heavy. I actually put by area that we went on, but I don't have that in here this year. So, and then our average turnout time. So when we talk about turnout time, that is our tones in this building go off. We get dispatched until the apparatus is leaving the station. So it is 1 minute and 22 seconds, and that 1-minute-22-second average includes that they're sitting at the bay, or they're upstairs asleep, or in the shower, or working out, or whatever they have to do, shut off the food, whatever they've got to do to get out the door. So that's an impressive number that we're pretty proud of, and we take a lot of effort in keeping that, because that's a big number for us. Obviously, the quicker we can get out the door, that's the one piece that we can control, because we can't control how far we are from the call. We can't necessarily drive 150 miles an hour to get to the call safely. So the one piece that we have to control is that average turnout time, and how quickly we can actually get the trucks when we want to go help. So next one is response time. So that's going to be showing from we get dispatched to our first apparatus arrives on scene, which I like throwing that in here, because even at 7 minutes and 30 seconds from when our tones drop till we get on scene, which sounds a little bit higher, but when you think about the makeup of our area, just envision how long it takes to drive from this station to 236 and 400 east, or 400 south and 300 east, Or from the Richland station to get to 800 North and State Road 120, 128 area on 9, or, there's a distance to drive. So that 730 is still really good. And it's a number that's, a lot of different factors. It's kind of hard to play.
Well, you're driving a, what, 4 or 5, 6 ton
Mhm.
truck full of water,
Yep.
as compared to where I live at, just off of Rangeline Road, it takes about 5 minutes just to get here.
Yep, and we run with lights and sirens, but that's another key point because like the new tankers we just got are governed to 61 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have lights and sirens, but all that's doing is letting us get through a red light and letting us get past on the interstate. I mean,
And that's if people get out of the way.
right. But on the interstate, we get past. I mean, at driving at that speed, we regularly get past, but. And then the total calls, which I already hit on, which year over year was an increase of 12.35%. Which averaged out to about 7.8 calls per day between the two stations last year. Incident type breakdown, just kind of taking those numbers and breaking them down a little bit, you can see the majority of them are EMS related, about 70% of what we do. And then as Chief Burrows alluded to when he was talking about the monthly, you can kind of see that we really slow down when these cold weather months hit. And then we pick back up in the center there in the peak of the map. So that's pretty common for us. We hit that center and we really, it's when most of our runs come in. We had a couple months, we got close to 300 runs a month last year. And then we slow down typically when the cold weather hits. So some of the fire incident data, you can see this is just breaking down that fire type a little bit further. So there's 38 structure fires we responded to, but of those 38, 26 of them are what we call working. So that means that we showed up and everybody was going to work, everybody had a job, and it actually brings more mutual aid in to help us because those are the ones where there's fire showing or active fire that we're doing. So it's 26 total working structure fires we responded to last year. It doesn't mean on the other 12 that there wasn't fire. It just means that our first couple units can get there and put it out real quick and we don't need much more help. So it doesn't mean it wasn't a fire. We have a whole other category you can see here of false alarms. Those are the ones we get dispatched to when we get there and it's not a fire. So EMS, this is something I was able to do a little bit better breakdown I like in the new reporting system. So you can see this top little colorful pie chart there is actually breaking down by all of our incident types. So when you look at the different percentages and you can see falls at 16.8%. So that's our highest number, 16.8% of our calls are fall related. Followed by breathing problems at 15.8%. So those take up, almost a little over 30% of our total runs come into those two categories. And then they just kind of set down from there. St. Vincent Anderson and Community Hospital down here at the bottom showing you where we transport to. By far, and just because of proximity of where community sits, that's our most common hospital we go to. But about 30% of the time, we actually end up going to St. Vincent Anderson, followed by Ball and Muncie. And then we occasionally, in a couple of times a year, end up at either an IU Saxony or Riley or Peyton Manning Children's Hospital, St. Vincent 86th Street. It just kind of depends on what the needs are, but by far those two are our most common. And then total transports at the bottom, you can see ALS transports or advanced life support care, 1,049 and 410 BLS, and those do not include the intercepts. So those 1,459 calls are runs that our ambulance is transporting the patient on. So that does not include actually going out for the intercepted. Next page, just a quick little listing of our apparatus. Didn't change much, but just give you a little bookmark of what trucks we have that year and money, and then breaking down the fire division report into just an explanation of what they do and how things work, with a few pictures from some incidents we were on past year. EMS division, same kind of concept, highlighting some things that were accomplished and that were done, a couple of photos. Training division, same purpose, highlighting some of the big trainings that we did this past year. So our driver operator courses that we held here that had people from us, Carmel, Marion Fire Department came in, Vernon Township had students that attended that we hosted here, and then some of our other courses that we were able to accomplish.
Yeah, I hate to keep it
No,
on.
you're good.
It's something. Do you guys do training to people outside, like, resuscitation,
So
things like that.
that is a new, and that'll actually be in our public affairs group is gonna start doing that, and that is a new focus for us moving forward, because we had some issues with getting affiliated to become CPR instructors. It's getting difficult, a lot like community hospital won't affiliate anybody outside anymore, so it's actually something that, Todd Harmison and I we just got worked out a couple days ago, actually last week, to get us affiliated with them again. And actually not with them, but with Ivy Tech, and that's something that we're gonna start offering.
Since you're gonna go down that road, then I'd like to make a suggestion. This is something that just came across on my Facebook one day. It was just a video of a lady from the UK. And she talked about the 8,000 deaths that could have been avoided. And I sent the video to a girl in my office. She does CPR training. That's one of her main functions as far as, that stuff. And what it was is 8,000 women deaths. And I never thought about it before. I've been through CPR training several times over the years, when I was on the police department, when I worked for Synchrony Bank and all that. And I told her, do you have any female dummies? She said no. And she went to the person she needs to, and she said, I don't think we'll get it because she got to think about, she looked at the video and it made a lot of sense, because I remember one time when I was president of the Lincoln Club, we had a dinner out at the Shrine Club, and do you know Sam Hannah's sister? Okay, she's a pretty big woman, okay? And she started choking on some food, and I had just went through drainage, but I got behind her, did a Heimlich maneuver, the food came out, and I felt pretty good about it, and she was thankful. But I was very uncomfortable because she was female, and giving CPR to a female, to a lot of men, is very uncomfortable. I would suggest when you go into this new program, because Stacy came back and said she was shocked. They have ordered 2 female dummies for their future training. And I think that would be something that is a great benefit to,
Absolutely.
Now, you're calling them dummies, but you're talking about the apparatus.
whatever. Okay, you get
Mannequins.
Mannequins.
Thank you.
I'll apologize to the next one. I just think it would be a good idea to,
Good feedback.
do that training with a female mannequin. Just because men are uncomfortable.
Yep,
And I
absolutely.
totally get that.
Absolutely. Okay, the next page here, just talking about the same divisional report for the hazmat team. So as you probably know, we are the hazmat team for Madison County. We're the only actual hazmat team in Madison County, so any hazmat incident in the county, we're probably gonna be responding on, talking a little bit about our capabilities and highlighting it was 32 responses that the hazmat team did last year. That includes responses in our area as well as other areas in the county. So it's just another one of those things that we kind of take care of here. Water rescue, same concept. So there are 3 water rescue teams in Madison County, 2 of them being us and Anderson, who have dive teams, and then South Madison, who's top water, swift water rescue boats. So we need water rescue call in the county. Those 3 entities are always dispatched, and we go out and respond with that. I'm actually Lieutenant Louiette here, with Dive Commander Cody Painter, head up that team and take care of that. So we've got some highlights there. It's 21 responses the dive team went on last year in the county. Highlight some of the things there. One thing it does talk about is our Public Safety Diver Academy that we did last year to get some additional certified divers here. And since he's sitting here, I'll make sure I bring it up, and it's called out in here is one thing that also is accomplished is Lieutenant Louiette obtained his ERDI dive supervisor certification as part of that, which he has to go through a pretty rigorous process and help with trainings and things to get that certification. So that was another thing highlighted there that he was able to get, and now him and Cody Painter are both dive supervisors for us, so.
Very good.
The Public Affairs and Outreach Division, so it's kind of sometimes the unheard of, a lot of people don't know about it, but set up by Todd Harmison, and contains a lot of stuff. So it's our PIO group, it's where the CPR, outside CPR training is gonna live. But one of the things that they do is they take care of doing a lot of our smoke detector requests. So any smoke detectors that come in, we purchased some last year. We had 11 requests that they managed last year through the Community Connect app, and went out and actually installed 21 smoke detectors in homes throughout the area. We actually physically go and install those so we can make sure they're put up correctly and in places outside, proper areas, not just throwing them on top of the refrigerator to hopefully go off. So that's one program they manage. The other thing they also do is take care of our community outreach. Last year, they did 24 total outreach activities that had school-age children, adults, seniors. In total, they had 3,320 direct contacts with individuals last year. So that division managed 3,320 direct contacts with people, providing public education, home safety, fire education, things like that. So they also manage our cadet program, which it highlights in here, which is really a kind of growing program for us. We currently have 11 cadets, and those cadets took part in over 1,000 hours of education and service to the department last year. So that's a good program that kind of gets a lot of people exposed to, hey, is this a job for me? Is there a career? We've had people go on to career departments elsewhere. We've had people that are still here that have advanced through that program. It's been a pretty good program, and probably one of the better ones.
I mentioned at the Richland meeting earlier that I started at age 14 as a cadet at Richland Township Fire Department. Talk about it, and Tim stopped by, a few weeks ago, a month or so ago, we were having a large meeting of the cadets, and he just happened to walk by, and we invited him in just to meet the young individuals, and, but I use that when I talk to the cadets, that, at age 14, I started as a cadet, basically, in this part of this department, and obviously being the chief, so just that, mentor for these young individuals as they're growing up.
Dude, that's how I started out as a cadet.
How many were there in the cadet program? Did you say?
Currently, we have 11.
11?
In our program now.
And it's that's probably the highest we've been.
Yeah, probably.
We've ebbed and flowed a little bit. Somebody graduates out or whatever, but that's the highest numbers we've probably been. We've been around that 6 to 7 or 8.
And there's very strict rules on what they can do and what they can't. They wear red shirts versus our blue, so they're easily identifiable and everything, so. But hey, just real quick, back to that 3,300. So we had 3,300, residents, constituents, visitors of the community that we directly impacted because of the work of that outreach group. So that's pretty significant, I think.
Next page is kind of highlighting some significant incidents. So the big one that we wanted to touch on with this report was the tornadoes. Obviously, as you know, the tornadoes came through the area last year. It was a pretty heavy run volume and significant response for us. It was one of the larger, longer sustained responses we've had in a while. So just a few pictures there and just kind of bookmarking that and highlighting it. And then our major accomplishments, obviously, we delivered the two new tankers, the LifePak 35 cardiac monitors that we've got on here, and looking forward to the Dive Academy I already spoke about. This next year, we got the ambulances coming up, so some big things in the future that will also be highlighted on here. And then the last wrap ups, just hitting our annual awards that we're giving out at the Christmas party last year to our highlighting those, so it's kind of bookmarked and in there. That is it.
Another fine job. Another fine job.
And to that point too, and some of the questions that Lloyd had, all of this data is readily available to us at any time of the year. So any of those questions, you see something like, hey, how are we doing? How's this going? Those data can be pulled out at any time. So to those, hey, I know you guys did this runs, but how many of those type of runs have you done? I mean, it takes a couple minutes to pull one snippet of data. It takes a lot longer to pull a whole report, but you wanted to see something specific. That's a pretty easy report with the softwares we have. So.
Yeah, that first new software we went to, we have we have some dashboards that we can kind of track even on a daily basis and stuff like that too.
I'd like to commend chiefs and all the department and Tim for the great work in all this. As they presented at the Richland meeting, my mind went back to the countless hours and hours and hours, and I was only part of the thing, and Josh and Jamie were in the discussions of the formation of the territory. Some of you were around in those days, and the future didn't look very well for the individual departments. I mean, we were managing our own, but you look at the increase of numbers that have happened. There's, we were having a tough time dealing with all, an increase of 700 calls the finances and all the work that goes in there. Appreciate all the work. And I think, Josh said it, but I think we need to reemphasize that it all goes back to leadership and then to the crews. The average out the door time of 1 minute and 22 seconds. That is phenomenal. That translates into property, lives, helping injuries, right down the line. So, but I couldn't help but go back to all the hours of work planning for all this, and then you look at all the other accomplishments that have happened that most people don't see as happening. They see it putting out the fire and picking up a patient, but it's a commendable job. You guys have done a great job.
I agree. I think the whole board does as well.
Sure.
I mean, all I do is say, all right, you can get it.
It's an important part.
So,
This happens because of an entire team effort, right? So not just us, but you guys as well.
Well, it's like me bringing up the female dummy thing.
Yeah.
The lady emphasized.
Imagine the comments.
I don't.
Yeah, they're.
Lloyd Brown, LLOY, Brown Commons County. But, they talked about, they could have saved 8,000 more female patients. And then they also looked at, after they did the training, the tremendous increase in the testing that was done, the increase in quality was just unbelievable.
We've seen our ROS rates, with an acronym of return spontaneous circulation, basically somebody coming back from not having a heart rate. We've seen those numbers increase over the years that we have highlighted in a couple of years. Partially is because of training. Training's a big thing for us, our guys are training every week on something, right? Including EMS stuff. And some of that costs money. But all the equipment, guys spent a lot of money this last year on the heart monitors and the cots and all that stuff, because it takes that stuff to save lives. That stuff's not cheap, but you kind of get what you pay for sometimes, right? We want to have the best of the best when somebody's life's on the line. So the CPR the Lucas devices we have, those are mechanical CPR. We found that much better outcomes in CPR. So the protocols that we do, Dr. Jan Kornlow, he comes and does training monthly here at our station for us, having a physician oversees all of our stuff, and we get to do, our paramedics can do things that a lot of other paramedics can't do because of working with our medical director and the training and the trust that goes into that. So, yeah, we are proud of the work because there's a lot of work that goes into that. So.
for sure. Is that it, sir?
I think so.
Michelle, do you have anything?
Are you not?
Doug?
I do that.
Lloyd? Jack?
This dummy doesn't.
Anybody from the audience? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So
Sure.